Yes, that's great. It is. You're right saying what you're saying, Stan. And Gary does. Times change and it's strange. Because of such a world disaster, it's taken us to get back to this sort of thing, and we are recording as much as we can around these memories, and let's see what happens at the end of it.
Well, what a lot of people don't realise, Jess, is that when Gary went down to Devon, he was headhunted. As a result of his captaincy at Lowerhouse, they were looking for a replacement for the Hound of the Basket. He was the man. He was the man.
Thank you to our 3 sponsors for supporting our podcast. John Russell's Art Caterers and Milltown Pies, who offer fantastic catering services, Alexander Grace Law, who provide modern and client-led legal services, and SBE Furnishings, who offer high-quality furnishings and electrical items at fantastic prices.
Brown's not away. You tap the ball into the slips and decide to pat the track down and have
They ran me out, that policeman.
with Blaise. And second slip ran you out.
Yeah.
And Mick Everett, to his eternal shame as a police inspector, runs in the hoop from third man. How's that? And you're given out. There was almost an international incident.
There's a bit of chest puffing that day. Yeah, I went down the wicket to pat the wicket, they ran me out.
Yeah, exactly. But the story we've referred to earlier, and I didn't do it justice when I was on, at East Lancs when you were the captain with your 100% record. Stand at first slip. I want your experience, I want your expertise, I want your game. By the time we get to the 10th over, you've dropped about 3 catches, you've missed about four buys have gone through, you're having a nightmare, they're picking singles up right, left and centre. They're picking 4s through obvious places. Get to the 10th over and I say, Chris, do you mind if and you just said, we'll leave it as it is. So we get to the end of the over and I say, Chris, I'm not being funny, mate. I do say, shut your mouth and fuck off down to third. Somehow we win the game. But you've been captain. I think you've been captain now over the last couple of 3 years. 7 or 8 times. We've won every game.
We did, won every game.
Yeah.
You're unstoppable. You've got a 100% record. You're unstoppable. You come in the changing room, high-fiving, floating in an inflated chest. And you turn around to me and you say, you shut the fuck up. Oh, what can I say? It's an almighty row. We move on. We go back to the house. The second man played East Lancs. Ryan Esketh has got 10 for 57. 10 for 57. We lost by 3. You're in such a bad mood, you say to Ryan Esketh, fucking hell, Ryan, if you'd have got 10 for 54, we'd have won.
Jesus, I'm sweating buckets.
We had a laugh, didn't we? We had a good time.
Can we try and clear up one particular game, Cam, that you will remember it, and me and Scotty have had a few messages to and fro today. So I'll just set the scene.
Carry on, Jez, I'm listening.
Yeah, because you can't remember it. I'll just set the scene, Stan, and then you tell me your version of it.
I remember Skyline, Jez. I can't remember Skyline.
1986, there is a series of run-outs in quite a close game. It's involving the tea that the Rishton catering and tea room have kindly put together and brought into the dressing room. Can you tell me, Stan, what happened on that day?
Well, Scotty was the innocent participant in that, but it wouldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I can assure everybody now, we've not got 4 hours of it. If you ran, you splattered the back of your trousers with mud. You couldn't stop. It was horrendous. And we're playing at Rishton, and I'm batting with Higgy. And I said, right, Higgy, are you agreeable? We're going for everything. And as you can just picture Higgy, yeah. We're going for everything. Not an ounce of intelligence behind his response, but we're going for everything. He smashes the ball out of the middle of the bat into the cup. The fielders haven't got a prayer of stopping it. Off I go. I get up 3/4 of the way down. Iggy's not moved. No. So you can imagine on that wet surface, the turning circle of the QE2, a few Roadrunner Acme skid marks and run out, trying to turn round by about 4 yards. I'm absolutely.
Queen Mary anyway, Stan, didn't you?
Yeah, well, on that surface, I probably turn round like Venus. I went to the changing room. I'm absolutely ripping. And in those days, at Rishton, you put your tea in a bag and write your name on it. So I threw these sandwiches out of the at Rishton in a fit of pit. Most unlike me, because not a lot of things ruffle me, but that just completely and utterly.
Stan?
Unfortunately for Chris, Iggy was out the last ball unexpectedly. And he came in and he just ate Scottish sandwich. Scotty came in, no sandwiches left. He said, Stan, he said, guys, he said, anybody see me sandwiches? I said, well, last I looked, Scotty, if you stand on that bench and look out through the skylight, they're nestling in that puddle in the carpet. And he was completely oblivious. A Scottish sandwich. What did you say? What did you say? That was Iggy. That was Iggy. Absolutely oblivious to anything going on around him. But a fabulous guy, a good wicket.
Go on, Joe.
I'm just picturing the scene now. You know, the call comes back to Lowerhouse, first team game. One of the current first 11 has thrown one of their sandwiches that had been carefully prepared by the tea lady. Has thrown it out of the skylight onto the car park. Stan, how do you react to that?
Well, Joe, I've always said this when we started these podcasts. It's not what we did; it's what you have to do now. And we're a lot more professional now. We're a lot wiser. But by God, surely you can have a bit.
It's funny, I got that because I was looking today.
If Henry Cotton throws Keegan DeFries sandwiches out the window, well, we'll have a question.
It's funny, obviously, your mind plays tricks with you. So, and I knew it was Rishton away, and I couldn't work out. I knew Scotty were involved. I know
I were involved. Yeah.
The
Skylight was involved, and there was sandwich, but I couldn't remember the story.
But what is interesting, you look at the scorecard. They had Wayne Daniel as pro, and it was soaking wet. You're right, Stan. And we were cruising. I can't remember it. It's just from the scorecard. We're cruising at 132 for 5, and then there's 3 run-outs: Brian Higgin, Stan Heaton, and Chris Scott. All got run out that game. So I couldn't work out who was run out and who throws whose sandwiches out the skyline.
There were times, Jez. I mean, I just used to wind Scott up endlessly because he was a red hot socialist, and I'm a socialist, but we're different. And I'd walk in the changing rooms and I'd say something like, "Bloody hell, fire Maggie Thatcher sorted them unions out," and boof! I might as well have thrown a hand grenade in. He's off. He's off.
That was the same at work as well, weren't it? We were the same at work.
We were, and we were two kids, 2 lads brought up in pretty much poverty.
Yeah,
but politics just got us going. I once got together 40 Labour Party, Vote Labour stickers and pamphlets and sheets and posters, and I was going to dob his house and car. Out at the last minute because I thought if somebody throws a brick through his window, I'll never forget.
Let's talk about an incident. I think would have been you two will probably know 88-ish, something like that. I'm living on Albion Street, maybe 89, and I was frequented by some friends who had nowhere else to get a cup of tea. So 2 of these really good friends have made big time. They're Starsky and Hutch, and they're now allowed to wear jeans and tracky bottoms, and they knock on the door.
I need to tell it, Stan. No, I do want to tell it. We probably remember it differently.
Chris, I'll start it off and you correct me. But Chris and I were on burglary squad, which was an adjunct of CID. but our specific role was burglary. And there was a horrific murder on Colton Road, opposite Brian Higgins' house, and the victim of a heinous burglary murder. I won't go into details because you never know, a family may be listening. But it was horrific. And Chris Scott and I were brought in as really ancillary. We're burglary squad. I think probably Dave Kroll and Dave Fleming, or maybe Steve Heselwood were on the burglary squad. We're doing house-to-house inquiries. And house-to-house inquiries is really a tick box episode, and you're very, very low. So in Chris's case and I, we were quite conscientious. You do an hour of house-to-house inquiries. Who lives here? Who lives here but isn't here? Who lives next door? Who lives next door regularly? Who's a comer and to and fro from? You build up a picture. And we go to Jez's old house on Albion Street. Jez isn't in the plan then. And we do the house-to-house inquiries. And on the hour, Chris and I would have a break, because you've got to have a break to refresh yourself. And
a break every hour?
Yeah.
We're raining, Joe. We're raining as well.
Taxpayers' money, a break every hour.
How did you survive?
I'm sorry if that offends you, but to refresh yourself, you'd have a break. I'd have 5 minutes in the CID car. And on this particular occasion, we've just done Jez's house. We're trying to name the 1969 Leicester City losing team.
Correct.
Neil Young, John Schauberg, Nish,
Alan Clark, Andy Lockett, Peter Shilton, Peter Rodriguez. I can still nearly get there with it.
Et al. Which prior to that, we'd done the Crystal Palace team for me.
Yeah.
Scotty says to me, he said, there's a guy walking up here and he's wearing the same type of training as the murderer, which is a very popular brand. So I'm driving and I peek across, and I knew the offender as a mugger of old ladies who would always do the digging on the old lady. He wasn't satisfied, he just snatched. So
I didn't know him, did I, Stan?
No, you didn't.
I recognise him.
I didn't know that the Dunlop 65 side of it, because you'd been up to the dinner time briefing and kept it to you. So, jump out the car, we hold him, we touch base with the murder squad, who were a bit iffy about locking him up, take his details, and Scotty says, and me and Scotty look at each other, we're not letting him go, he's coming in, I think he's got blood on his. So we bring him in, against the advice of the hierarchy, take the training shoes up to the forensic, the chief inspector's there, he says, I think that's gravy.
Yeah.
And he was the top detective in the county at the time. And another detective chief inspector, who was considered a bit of a wide boy, said, I think we should have it forensically tested, which was obvious, but he said that. Forensically tested, cut a long story short, this guy was the murderer. Chris and I got a judge's commendation for detecting the murder. And sadly, omitted from all of that praise was Jez. Because if it hadn't been for his house, with his cup of tea, we would never have been in a position to name the Leicester 69 FA Cup losing. Neil Young scored the winning goal. We'd never know.
Yeah, I remember it well. I'm not 88 or something like that. I remember it well.
And I got on CID on the back of it. I think you got promoted, Stan, fairly soon after.
No, we both got a judge's commendation.
Nicky and Charlie, Frank and Stan got stuck in a Waterloo. Charlie tossed one in the air and Frankie followed through.
Jez, you talked about how motivational Chris was.
Yes.
And I'd only ever heard stories about him, but I met him for the first time probably 4 years ago. He was having some kind of do at the cricket club.
Yeah, and I came out and spoke with him, didn't I?
Yeah, and I reckon we chatted for 45 minutes, an hour, and at the end of it, I would have joined a cult if he'd had one.
I enjoyed it, Joe. I enjoyed it.
I could genuinely, I could chat to him about cricket and wicket keeping for hours on end. It was Keith introduced us.
Yeah, I remember it well, and I enjoyed that myself. And I thought, what a nice, I'm just saying it because you're there, but what a nice young man, well, and keep it up, keep it going. Try and catch every ball. Remember, every ball.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Description of what Chris was like coming in the first team. He didn't know many of us. When he first came in, he was just thrust in there. But certainly myself and I know other players, you would come off there and you think, he wasn't the captain. He wasn't, anything special other than being a pro. He didn't play for us before, but you will come off and you think, crikey, I'll work hard if he's in our side. You're right, Joe.
You know how Scotty said earlier about he try and go through the whole game without dropping a ball? Yeah. Have you ever thought of trying that, or have you thought of more realistic challenges like maybe catching a unicorn or finding end of a rainbow?
Well, I'll tell you a story. We once played Cone at the end of and it was a really wet wicket. And as Chris has told us, I try and be as neat and as tidy as I possibly can. But on that game, the first ball of the game, I was stood up and it took a massive divot out of the pitch and hit me flush in the middle of my head. And after that, it was just a disaster. I dropped anything that came to me. And 20 over game, and I thought, right, last ball, this will be fine. It got hit to fine leg. Joe Hawke was throwing it in. I got my hands up ready, and it went straight through my hands and hit me on my head again. And I had a massive mud patch on my cap from where it had hit me. And Benny turned to me and went, "You need a day off."
Joe, can I just say, lads, that there's a huge difference here. Okay, if you threw the ball back in the day, it would plug. You throw the ball in now to Joe Martin, it skids on.
Can I introduce you please to Maggie's famous pie and peas? We're here for Lost One. Where the is Rusty on?
My funniest stories from you, and again, it took you an hour and a half to tell us in the dressing room, and every second was absolute gold. Tell us that story I think it was Sunday League game in Somerset. You played the championship game. Yeah. I don't know how you'd gone. Raining, and then what happened after that?
Well, we're playing at Bath, it was, Somerset, and they had Gavaskar. Viv was on West Indies duty, so they had Gavaskar as their kind of overseas player and Ian Goodside. And we were going down a bit of ragtag and bobtail too. And it rained all day Saturday. And we're on the game on Sunday. We're playing John Player Sunday, and it's going to be live BBC Two televised game. But it rained all day Saturday. So we're all on the piss throughout the afternoon. And we all went out, had a great night out. And I had a very, very late night. And I can remember getting back to the hotel in the early hours of the morning. Unfortunately for me, the manager was sat at the bar having a nightcap with the coach, and he catch me very late, It's still raining outside. And I tried to sneak down, and get up to the room without them noticing, but unfortunately he clocked me. Next morning I got a dressing down, but when I woke up next morning, I opened the curtains, it's bloody like today, it's cracking, they're going to be playing, because we thought it was going to be off, be playing. So I got a bit of a bollocking off the manager, Jack Bond. I got to ground and I was really running around doing laps, doing press-ups, star jumps, looking as though I were really up for it. But I was really feeling rough. And we won the toss and we batted. We got about 200. And then they went into bat and it's live on telly, family watching, friends, Blue Norman. I'm keeping. And we start off, we get a couple out. I catch Gavaskar quite early on and we're doing okay. And then Boltham's in. And obviously we know you've got to get him out. It was about 1980. It was his real, the test match. And Bernard Reedy were bowling. And Bernard from Enfield, he bowled one, a bit short of the length. And Bolton went to pull it and he went straight up. And it went straight up and straight up and straight up. And of course I've got the gloves on and I shout for it. And I can see it now, even after all these years, 40 years ago. And and it was a steepler. And it never really entered my head it was Bolton. It doesn't. You're concentrating, aren't you, at the time? And I'm just underneath it. And the wind caught it and went right through my hands. I didn't get a glove on it, I don't think. And I was just led on the turf, live on BBC Two, as games used to be then. And I dropped it. And he won the game for him. And of course, it came back to haunt me because I'd been late in the night before or the morning of the game. And it wasn't one of my best moments. It was one of those things, I don't think it made any difference whether I'd been on the piss or not. But because I'd been on the piss, it certainly didn't help my career. It wasn't a great career move. No. But the funny thing was when I felt really bad and my family, and we lost the game, Bolton went on to the game. And I did catch him eventually, but it was too late. Anyway, I went in the pub in Manchester where I was living at the time. And when I walked in, all the lads in the pub, as soon as I walked in, they all went, "Look out!" And they all going like this. I got a lot of sympathy. I didn't get a lot of sympathy from it.
Now, I remember that when you were telling us that story and we were all willing you to catch it. And
catch it. I still am now. Why didn't I catch it, Jez? Why didn't I catch it? I didn't.
Great memory. Great memories. I mean, we're rolling on. It's been a fantastic podcast, this, Chris. Stan is, we're going to mop it up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Stan, is there anything you want to finish with about your good old friend from police? And we haven't even talked about police cricket.
Well, we did a lot of that, didn't we?
We haven't. There's so much to say. And I'm a little bit emotional because
you've not spent any money, have you, Stan? Bloody hell.
Then a bottle of Dissaronos.
That's a fiver. That's what it is.
He's a great guy.
We're good mates, Stan, aren't we? We're good mates, pal.
He's a great player, and he's been a great friend. But he should be great. He should be closer to the club than he is.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. And I feel bad about that. I do, genuinely, because I had a lot of happy memories there. But me and you are good mates, Stan, aren't we? Proper.
Chris, we'll always be good mates, and we were ferocious combatants. I remember at the back end of my police career, I took up wicket keeping because we had no wicket keeper. Caught a catch, stood up against Jez, which says to me that I was okay.
Yeah.
We played at Liverpool, and a Liverpool player slashed at the ball, and it went to third man. It never left the ground, and I dived full length and missed. For some reason, you weren't keeping. You must have been injured. You gave me the biggest uphill and dangling up bulking. I've been keeping for about 2 weeks, making a bit of a fist of it. And you only did it because it was me. Because we just used to fire off against.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
But I tell you what, Stan, do you remember that time we went to Cornwall and you got 100 every day on a cricket? Every day. That's never been done.
But you still didn't give me any credit.
Great player. No, I did. And Harrogate, when we beat Barbados Police, didn't we? Fantastic.
We're both, deep down, Chris, we're both socialists.
I know.
And I was from a poorer background than you, but you never gave me that credit. And I'd walk into the change rooms and I'd say, bloody hell, Maggie Thatcher, she sorted them unions out. And boof! Boof!
Couldn't resist. I'm still the same now. I can't stop it. I can't stop myself.
I'd lick the blue touch paper.
Oh, just mention Boris Johnson and that's it. I'm off on one.
Oh, Scotty.
I'll never change.
You'll never change.
No.
With some great times. Great times in the place, great times at the club.
It was good fun. And Stan, thanks ever so much for your
thanks, Stan.
coming on now. And it was a surprise to Scotty, I promise. I didn't tell him beforehand. But I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I wouldn't have come on if you'd have said.
We're not daft, Chris.
The only other good story I can recollect, which I was thinking about before this, was I'm pretty sure it was a rain-affected game at Enfield. And Stan wrote in one of Stan's stories, clips already, he's already told the joke about the single brown hair ad in the Lonely Hearts column. But I'm pretty sure it was the same thing. And Chris liked doing crosswords. So he's got his Sunday paper and doing crosswords in corner, and Stan kept saying, "Well, give us a clue. Come on, we're bored. Come on, give us one we can one you can't get and all this." And he were whining, Scotty. Said, "No, I'm just doing my crossword. Leave me alone, Stan." Okay? And Stan wouldn't let it go. And eventually, Chris gives in. He says, "All right then, Stan." He said, "I'll give you a clue. I can't get with this one. I'm stuck. So you might be able to help me out. 8 down." Postman's sack. So all dressing in, think of it, and sure enough, Stan straight away. Well, how many letters, Scotty? Fucking millions, Stan. Fucking millions. Tables went over. Kitchen line the right room. It were unbelievable. Dude.
That was brilliant, Gary. I do remember. Scotty, I
remember it. It's true, innit, Stan? I got him.
Gary, that's so true. How many letters? A fucking sack full.
Brilliant.
Scotty, thanks ever so much for coming on.
I've really enjoyed it, Jez. It's been great fun. It's great to see you.
Chris Scott, ex-Lancashire England schoolboy, played for Lowerhouse for as long as he did. And I know Stan says about coming down the club, and there is all difficulties. The times have changed, but let's hope this brings not just yourself, Scotty, but other people back down, and we can do this over a proper pint over the bar. Yeah. Scotty, thanks ever so much for joining us. We'll see you all soon.
Absolutely brilliant. Up the house.
Gordon! Send more house to save the house!